I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars ain't...
What's good? We're going to get into Stand and Deliver from April the 4th, 2026. NXT's version of WrestleMania. This was a very decent show. NXT is in a rebuilding stage. They were only able to bring out 1,700 people, which is fine, but this is their biggest show of the year, so they don't have WrestleMania to kind of back them up. So it's okay. NXT, like TNA, is in a rebuilding stage, so they'll be able to stand on their own 2 feet eventually. It's just going to take time for that to happen. So I don't fault them on that. But I thought they were going to at least get at least 2,000 or at best, if possible, maybe 2,500 people at least. But it's fine. The crowd, they were not interested in every single match on the card. So, like, there are parts of the show where they were kind of like, I don't really care about this. And other parts, they actually did care. So, there's that. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. So, I did watch the pre-show. So, Hank and Tank, Eli Prosper, who is Eli Knight, I don't know why they changed his name, and Ren Sinclair and Charlotte Hill, they defeated Birthright. So, Birthright is already dead on arrival. They don't care about that faction. It's not good. I don't know why they can't win. I really don't. Especially when they had the blessing of William Regal and Finley. I just don't understand why they haven't really done much of anything. They can't get a win at all. It's not good, but it is what it is, man. Who really cares? It's fine. Apparently, Ren Sinclair is Superwoman. She was able to do a double underhook suplex to Charlie Dempsey in this match, which was wild, but it is what it is, so whatever. Moving on, this leads us into the first match of the night. Lola Vice defeats Kendall Gray and Jacy Jayne to become the new NXT Women's Champion. This match was solid. It was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. All three girls did tremendous. So, Fatal Influence, they got involved in the match. Ren Sinclair got involved. She ended up doing a crossbody, taking out both Fallon Henley and Laney Reed. Kendall Gray and Lola Vice, they did very well here. They traded back submission moves and all that and everything. So Kendall Gray was going for the arm bar. Lola Vice kept going for a rear naked choke. So towards the end of the match, Kendall Gray, she went for the gray area, which she was able to hit. And then Ren Sinclair got involved. She took out Fatal Influence. She took them out. So it was just Lola Vice and Kendall Gray. She got her into the guillotine. So Kendall Gray reversed that into a roll-up. She got a 2 count with that. And then Jacy Jayne ended up hitting a rolling encore, knocking out Kendall Gray, so she's out. And she immediately falls into the 305. Lola Vice is spinning back fist for the 1, 2, 3, and Lola Vice wins. This was great. I love this. I love the finish to this match. Beautifully done. Because I was thinking that, one of them was going to hit their finish, and then they were going to throw the other person out and win that way. Thankfully, they didn't go that route, which is a blessing. So that's good there. Lola Vice, well-deserved. She's earned it. She's been in NXT grinding for a good 4 years. And this is great. she should have been champion, I would say, back in 2024. Excuse me. She should have been champion, I would say, back in 2024. She should have been champion, but it's better late than never. And it seems like they trust Lola Vice. They trust her in this position. JC Jane, I see her getting a main roster call-up. I don't know if it's going to be immediately after Mania, but JC Jane shouldn't be sticking around in NXT too much longer. You could feud Fatal Influence, feud them, but hopefully they call them up as a trio and they have them on the main roster, Raw or SmackDown. It'll be fine. And, you know, you go that route with JC Jane and Fallon Henley and Laney Reed, right? I think that's the best way to go because Fallon Henley and JC Jane, they've both been in NXT for a minute. JC Jane needed to lose this match because she's been champion for a little over a year, I think. And when she lost, like, she was very, like distraught, and it was almost like she was about to burst out into tears. So there's that. Also, I forgot to mention there was a wardrobe malfunction that happened like 2 or 3 times because as I was watching this on my phone, I was like, what the hell's going on? Why does the screen keep going black? And then I realized that JC Jane's wardrobe had a malfunction. So her titty kept coming out. So that's fine there. Shit happens. It is what it is. So, you know, it is what it is. But well-deserved to Lola Vice. All right. I also forgot to mention that we were welcome to the show by Shawn Michaels and Sexy Red. I forgot to mention that, but it's not that important, so it is what it is. Who cares? Moving on, this leads us into a vignette from Kylie Armstrong. So she got a really good vignette. So she's coming to NXT, which is great. So we should see her Tuesday, if not the following Tuesday, but that's great. So good stuff there. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into the Vanity Project defeating Los Americanos, Bravo, and Rabo to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. Not much to this match. The crowd wasn't really all that invested in it, and neither was I. If you think about it, who really cares about Los Americanos? It's, you know, we all know it's Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, and it is what it is. Who really cares? Vanity Project winning is fine. It makes the most sense. So, whatever. Don't really care too much about this match. It was filler, if you ask me. So, whatever. I know a lot of people like this, but it wasn't my cup of tea. Moving on, this leads us into Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley. They were both backstage. They're happy over their recent success. So, Sexy Red comes in. And Tatum Paxley is excited. Ricky Saints comes in, and he said he's not impressed. So, whatever. Who really cares? Moving on from that, this leads us into Zarya versus Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca defeats Zarya. This match was pretty good, but the wrong person won. Zarya needed to win this. She needed to establish herself. Zarya's been on this roster for far too long to just be in the weeds, not really doing anything. And it seems like Shawn Michaels and company don't really trust Zarya for whatever reason. I have no idea why. I don't know why Zarya didn't win the match here. It makes no sense because we know Sol Ruca's geared to get yanked up out of NXT in due time. Don't know when. It could be post-Mania. But if not, it'll be, you know, in the coming weeks or whatever, after Mania. But Sol Ruca don't need to be sticking around, basically. So the match was pretty solid. They ended up doing a Soul Snatcher on the ramp outside, which was nasty. I thought that was going to be the finish, but it wasn't. So Sol Ruca hit another Soul Snatcher in the ring. Zarya kicked out. Zarya went for an F5 and a spear. Sol Ruca kicked out of that. And then Sol Ruca and Zarya were talking trash to each other. Zarya was about to go for an avalanche F5. Soul Ruka fought out of that, and then she hit the third Soul Snatcher of the match for the 1, 2, 3, and Soul Ruka wins. Again, this is fine, and I'm a big fan of Soul Ruka. I am, but Zarya's right there. Like, why wasn't this her match to win? Why didn't she get the win here? It makes no damn sense to me. I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't. But it is what it is. Maybe now that she's lost, that being Zarya, maybe they can change her character to where she's more aggressive and more bloodthirsty, to where she uses this loss to kind of position herself to kind of go after the NXT Women's Championship now that you have a pure babyface in Lola Vice winning it. Because you got Izzy Dame there. You have Kalani Jordan there as well. But I don't think Kalani Jordan's going to stay in NXT too much longer. She's been there same time as Lola Vice. So they both have been there 4 years. That's a pretty decent time. So I could see Kalani getting yanked up eventually as well. Her getting the call up. But we have to wait and see with that. But maybe they end up changing Zarya's character, making her, more bloodthirsty, just, no nonsense. Change her gimmick and everything else. Give her a new finisher and all that jazz. Change her theme song and everything. Change her whole presentation. Just make her a serious badass, like how she should have been booked when she first came in, where she's just kicking ass and taking names. And hopefully that can position her to go after the NXT Women's Championship at some point. Because you need more heels than just Izzy Dame and Kalani Jordan. You need more heels than just having 2 heels. You got to have at least 4 or 5 heels that are, established, and that could be a threat to Lola Vice. And hopefully Zarya can be one of those heels. All right, moving on. Let's lead us into Johnny Gargano versus Myles Borne for the NXT North American Championship. Myles Borne wins. He wins via the zigzag, or the Born Again off the... he did a slingshot Born Again, and then he did the regular Born Again for the 1, 2, 3. This match was pretty okay. Johnny Gargano did his typical usual stuff. He was able to hit the one final beat, which he's won multiple matches with in the past when he was in NXT Black and Gold. He ended up trying to lock in the Gargano escape. Myles Borne fought out of that. So this match is fine. Okay, I guess. Post-match, Dion Lennox showed up and beat the shit out of Myles Borne with a steel chair, which was great. I loved it. He showed a bunch of aggression, which is great. So I like that. So that's probably going to be Myles Borne's next opponent, Dion Lennox. That's fine. That's actually a good avenue for him to be in, if you ask me. So that's fine. Moving on. This leads us into Soul Ruka. She was on the show again. So she says that that was her hardest match yet, and she's coming after the gold. So Izzy Dame shows up to say not so fast. So, that's fine. I guess they're going to do Soul Ruka versus Izzy Dame on Tuesday, which is fine. Moving on, this leads us into Mariah May versus Tatum Paxley for the Women's NXT North American Championship. Tatum Paxley retains. This match was very, very fun. The crowd was super excited for this. Why? Because Tatum Paxley kicks major ass. Tatum Paxley is a fucking machine. It's like, damn, this girl don't miss. So she did a bunch of suplexes, DDTs. They ended up doing a nasty shoulder spot early on in the match, thinking that she may have separated her shoulder, but she fought through it, which was great. Mariah May hit her usual stuff in this match as well. She ended up hitting Tatum with the belt while the referee was distracted. She ended up doing a sit-up powerbomb on the outside, which was great. Good spot there. She ended up hitting her finish, which was the Glamour DDT. That's fine. And then the finish came when Mariah was going to go for it again, and then Tatum reversed that into the cemetery drive for the 1, 2, 3. This is fine. It makes sense. The crowd's super into Tatum. Tatum has always been amazing. I've liked Tatum since she came into NXT, and she's great. She's excellent. Now, Tatum has been in NXT for years, too. She's been in NXT for quite some time as well. I think she's been in NXT, I want to say, about 5 years. I think she came in, I think she came in either in 2021 or early 2022. But she's been in NXT for a hot minute, like a long-ass minute. But this is fine. This is my bad. This is a perfect place for her to be in. I can speak. I talk a little bit too fast, but I can speak. But this is a little good position for her to be in, and this is fine. I'm happy for Tatum. What do you do with Mariah May? I don't know. It seems like she could get the call up as well. And I know the AEW dumbasses, aka sickos, are going to make fun of Mariah May and saying, "Oh, she's shit. Oh, she wasn't like this in AEW when she was with Toni Storm." But both Toni Storm and Mariah May have, went down a peg. Now, Mariah May's improving herself, right? Like, she's really being tested here. So, I wouldn't be shocked if she's on the main roster soon, right? Because, again, you got to realize every wrestler that's in NXT does not have to win championship gold. Look at Javon Evans as an example, right? So, there is that. So, maybe you do Mariah May, Tatum one more time, and then after that, she gets called up. So that's fine there. Moving on from that, this leads us into the main event of the evening. Tony D'Angelo defeats Joe Hendry, Ricky Saints, and Ethan Page to become the new NXT champion, which was great. Tony D'Angelo is another guy who's been in NXT for about a good 5 years. He was in the class with, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, Grayson Waller. All those guys are on the main roster. And Tony D is still stuck in NXT, which is fine. He should have won the title a couple years back, but better late than never. This match was fun, even though I'm not a fan of multi-man matches. I'm just not. But this match was fun. So Ricky and Ethan, they were arguing for most of the match. Then they ended up decided to do a cover, and they're like, "No, I'm gonna cover," and that was pretty funny there. Then the match broke down. Ricky and Ethan finally started to fight each other and everything. So Ricky Saints ended up bringing in a steel chair. He took out Joe Hendry. Ricky Saints ended up beating up Ethan Page with the steel chair briefly. Then Ethan Page started fighting back. He beat up Ricky Saints. He ended up tearing apart the announce table. He did a running power slam through the top of the table. Then he was gonna do, I think, a Razor's Edge through the table, but Tony D'Angelo came out of nowhere and speared the shit out of both Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. He got on the steel steps, ran full speed, speared him through the announce table, which was great. That was fucking awesome. Then he got back in the ring, him and Joe Hendry. They brawled for a brief moment. Joe went for the standing ovation choke slam. And Tony, he reversed that. He ended up hitting the spear into the forget about it for the 1, 2, 3, and my bad. And Ethan Page is my bad. I'm sorry. Tony D'Angelo is the new champion. I'm sorry, guys. Tony D'Angelo is the new champion, which is great. Got a really good reaction and all that stuff. This match was pretty fun. Again, I'm not a fan of Fatal 4-Way matches, but the right decision was made here. Ethan and Ricky are veterans. Same with Joe Hendry as well. Joe Hendry, they gave him the transitional reign, which I figured they would, right? Like, Joe Hendry's awesome, but Joe Hendry hasn't really meant much to NXT. He's just not meant much. But it is what it is. You know, he meant a lot during the NXT TNA crossover, but now that he's with NXT permanently, he's not really meant much. He's just been doing a bunch of comedy shit. So it is what it is. I don't expect for them to do a one-on-one between Joe Hendry and Tony D'Angelo. I don't expect for that to happen. They might end up yanking out and calling up all three guys, Ricky, Joe, and Ethan, possibly. But I don't think that'll happen because that would kind of kill NXT, if we're being honest. Because I don't know who Tony D'Angelo can feud with. I really don't. I don't. Unless they bring some guys down, like Apollo Crews and guys like that. That could be fun. But I don't know. But maybe we'll get some stuff between Ricky and Ethan. It seems like they're going to turn Ethan babyface, which is fine. I think Joe Hendry will definitely get a call-up for sure, though, more than likely. But all in all, NXT was fairly fun. I fairly enjoyed Stand In and Deliver. Really good show. I'm very excited for Tuesday. It seems like we might get some debuts, hopefully. So maybe that's what they're saving here. Maybe that's when we'll see Daniel Luna pop up, maybe. I'm still holding out hope for that she shows up. I mean, if she goes to AEW, she goes to AEW, but why would you go to AEW knowing that WWE is fixing to do call-ups and they're going to do releases? So there's going to be a lot of space on that NXT Women's roster. A lot of space for that. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But all in all, the show was fun. I had fun with it. I really did. I love the triple threat match. I love the Fatal 4-Way. That was fun. Tony D'Angelo and Lola Vice winning was great. So, good stuff there. They're focusing on the seniority class, which is fine. That makes perfect sense. And the crowd enjoyed both those matches. Everything else was kind of so to the crowd. Oh, and they also enjoyed the co-main with Tatum Paxley and Mariah May. So, that was good. But me personally, I enjoyed the vast majority of the show. I thought it was fun. It was a good 2+ hours. And I'm excited for what NXT has to come, right? Again, NXT is in a rebuilding stage. Give it time. Give NXT grace and mercy. It's a very good product. It's going to continue to be successful. It's just going to take time. But all in all, this show was very good, and I enjoyed it, and I'm very excited for Tuesday. But what did you guys think of the show? And I hope you guys have a happy Easter. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.